All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to page 2 of lesson 3.4. So let's begin. So on this now, we had talked about graphing with y equals mx plus b, or creating those equations. Now I want you to be able to graph these equations by hand. And so you have to understand the parts and pieces related to it. Okay, so as you're going through this, understand you're given, once again, the b value, which is your y-intercept. So you know that this graph intercepts -2. You know that this one here intersects at 2. You know this one here intersects at -3. Okay, so there are your 3 points. Now, when you're doing this on ALEKS or any other apparatus where you're graphing, you only need one more point, okay? And so with that one point, you actually are able to just go through this and try to figure this out. So you use the slope to find the other point, all right? So the slope here is -3. So this means this goes down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it goes over 1. And that's it. That's all you really need. And then you would connect the dots, okay? You only need 2 points to graph. Same here. It started at 2. Now this is -3/5. So technically that top number is negative. So this would be -3. So you go down 3. So I go down to -1 and I go over 5. There's my point right there. There's my graph. The last one here is now positive, okay? So you know you're going up 1. So you go up 1 over 4. There's my dot. And ladies and gentlemen, let me do one more just in case. There's your graph. Simple, right? Make sure you guys understand what we're looking at here. Your y-intersection and then your slope. You've learned all about the slope. You learned now about the y-intersect. Put them together to create the graph. Your turn. All right, the points. -2, -3, and 2. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you fill in the rest. All right, so we're going +2 over 1. There's my points right there. -4/3. So this is the number on top is negative. So it'll be down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 3. Right there. There's your numbers there. And then the other one here would be 5, 4. So you're going up 5 over 4. Right there. Okay, so there's your numbers there, your 2 dots, and you're done. Okay, simple enough. So please make sure you understand what you're looking at. Your y-intersect gives you the value that you can put 1 dot and then use their slope to find the second coordinate point. Okay, all right, now I want to make sure, and ALEKS, it talks about making sure you guys can actually do or write an equation for a vertical and horizontal line that passes through a point. So what you're talking about here is you have a graph with one particular point, say at -8, 3, -3, so somewhere right here. And so what it's asking you is, what would be the vertical line? Let me see if I can do it with this. What would be the vertical line of a point that passes through this dot right there? Now that's pretty close, right? And so what you're trying to find out is, what are the vertical and horizontal lines that pass through this dot right here? What would they be labeled as? And so what you have to do is figure out, okay, how is this related to you? What does this mean? Well, you remember this means -3, -8, -3 is actually a coordinate point of x and y. So this x equals -8. And so what kind of line does that create? Well, what that does, what it's saying is that every value where x is -8 is a dot. And so it creates a vertical line. So this would be your vertical line. Y equals -3 would be your horizontal line. Because what it's saying is every dot on this line right here is a -3. And so the next one, a little simpler. So now hopefully you guys get it. This would be my x value. So x equals -3. And then this is my y value here. Y equals 7. So what that means is that every dot on -3 would be a vertical line. And then this would be a horizontal line. Simple enough. Understand what it's saying. If you were to go to Desmos and graph these two lines, you would see one vertical, one horizontal. You do the next ones. All right, simple enough. Just tell me what they are, okay? You guys know x equals 6 would be vert, and then y equals -6 would be horizontal. And then same with here, that x equals -4 and y equals 2. You graph those out, you'll get it. All right, so simple concept. Just make sure you guys follow up and go through those if you struggle with any of that. The very last thing on this notes is making sure you guys can compare how a linear function or a linear equation will be given to you in different forms. Okay, so we have a graph, a table, the function itself, and then the written word. Okay, so what you need to do first is convert all of these into the actual equation itself. So this function 4 is the easiest because it says it's y equals, the slope is -4, and your y-intercept is -2. Simple enough. The second function 1 here, remember we talked about, here's a y-intercept given, so we know it ends with 5 plus. Okay, we got a y equals, now what is that slope? It's up over 1 over. So it's actually y equals x plus 5. And then the other one here, we have same thing, a y value given, so we know it ends with +1. The real question is what is the functionality before it? It's y equals, and then what is this slope? This is a change in 1, so +1. This one here, how do you go from 5 to 3? You'd subtract 2. And remember, it's always y to minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? So it's change in y over change in x, so that'd be -2 over 1, which is -2. So there's that equation. All right, so now what you have to find out, ladies and gentlemen, is answer the following questions. Okay, which function has a graph with a y-intercept farthest from 0? So you'd have to look and tell me where your y-intersections are. I got a 5, a 1, a -4, and a 2. Well, of course, that would be the fun one. The second question. Which function's graph is the steepest? Okay, we have a slope of 1, -2, a 5, and a -4. So which one's the steepest? It would actually be function 3, right? Because -5 is steeper than -4. And then which functions have graphs with a y-intercept greater than -3? So you have to find out which one is greater than -3. Well, 1 is. Okay, 2 is. Greater than -3? Nope, that's a -4. It's less than. -2 is an answer as well. And that's it. And Alex, it'll be a multiple choice. Make sure you select the right ones. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions related to this topic, please let me know. It's a relatively simple lesson, but as we move forward, please make sure you learn how to do everything in relation to all the equations, graphing them by hand, and being able to create equations by looking at a graph as well. If you struggle with anything, let me know or your teacher know, and come talk to us. Don't be afraid. Until next time, it's been fun.